Hi everyone, I'm Cadet Emily Rowley, your Professional Development Training Officer, and this is Aircast. This week we will be discussing balancing personal and professional life with Cadet Johanna Western. Hello, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. What's your job this semester?
I'm the facilities officer.
Alright, so what do you kind of do?
I make sure the debt is clean, and at the moment, I'm making sure that we got some projects in the works to make the debt look a little bit better and spice it up, basically.
Yeah, that sounds fun and creative.
Always.
How's FTP going?
It's going good, fun as it is. Relearning quotes and doing drill and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's so fun the first time. I'm just absolutely jealous of you getting to go through it twice.
Oh yeah, I love doing it 2 times. It's not that bad, honestly.
Alright, let's get started. This first question is, I feel like, a pretty easy question to answer, but I think it's good to talk about for everyone struggling with what I'm about to say. So, do you ever sacrifice personal or social life for your responsibilities, just school, ROTC, work, or whatever else you have going on?
Oh, all the time. It sounds so bad to say, but yeah. Just because I have to study for exams a lot that take a good chunk amount of my time, and I do work night shifts, so when I do work, I end up sleeping the next full day, so it ends up taking a big chunk out of my day.
Yeah, that sounds tough. I have a friend who works night too, and then we'll have class all day the next day. I'm like, how are you doing this?
Oh yeah, some days I'll work nights and then I go right into class the next morning, which I'm running on 2 cups of coffee, and then as bad as energy drinks are, I'm running on 2 of those at the same time, so and then I'll crash right after.
Yeah, for me, social life's definitely the first thing to go when it comes to my other responsibilities. I just have quite a full plate this semester with school, wing job, and FTP, but yeah, things get sacrificed for that, and that sucks sometimes.
Yeah, you just kind of have to work around it. I'll study with my friends.
I think I definitely sacrifice a lot of sleep.
Oh, for sure. Sometimes, I just kind of give up, and I'm like, you know what, I need sleep so much. Because if not, I start, losing it. Sometimes I'll be like, did I just see, something that definitely wasn't there? And I'm like, okay, I gotta sleep.
Yeah, for sure. If that's something that's happening. I take a nap, every day, it seems like these past few weeks.
I nap religiously.
I can hardly get through the day sometimes. So, how do you ensure you tend to your social life?
So, I make sure by, the one way is, me and my friends will study,
okay.
Which, so, we'll, do some, 30 minutes of studying, and then we'll, talk about random stuff.
Oh.
Normally related to nursing and stuff going on in nursing, which, is normal, I guess. And then other times, it's just, we just make sure we go out or hang out for a short time, even though it won't be that long, just because most of my friends also work night shifts or also work and have other priorities, so it's quick hour meet up for lunch, and then we're all right, I'll see you in a week or so. And you're okay.
Yeah, no, I really like what you said about studying with your friends and then taking breaks to just talk.
That definitely helps.
Yeah, that sounds cool. For me, I definitely just try to make sure I'm managing my time and prioritizing, because I don't have time for everyone in the week. So if I just hung out with someone last weekend, then maybe I'll try to hang out with someone else the next weekend, and just making sure that I'm thinking about when I'm gonna hang out with these people, so that way I so that way I'm maybe getting my work done before. There's been times where I maybe didn't get my work done and still went out, but it just makes for a terrible next day, but you get through it. That's college. Sometimes
me and my friends are you just want to come over and do homework? And we're just sure. They may not be similar majors or not, but we'll just sit there and do homework for a bit, and then when we both get to a certain point, we're okay, this is a good stopping point, then we'll do something fun that's not just staring at our laptops. So you kind
of intertwine the two.
I
like that. Do you ever feel like you are favoring your social or personal life over your responsibilities?
Sometimes it can feel like that way, just because like, I have an exam, and I'm like, oh, my friend's gonna come up and visit me, though, when I should be studying, even though I'm, like, sitting there and, like, contemplating what I should do, and I'm like, I know I should probably relax for once and enjoy, like, having a social life. Yeah. Because if not, it's just going to make a burnout, and I'm going to just not be able to study at all.
Yeah, like I was just saying, like, I will maybe go out sometimes, and I didn't have my homework done. My original plan was maybe do homework that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you just have to make sure you get it done the next day, or just make sure you get it done before the deadline. And it's going to kind of suck if it's due soon. But you just have to decide if it's worth it to you or not. Sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes you're going to be really kicking yourself, and just think about that next time before you decide what you're going to do. Yeah. But sometimes it is worth it. Maybe you had a great time. Maybe you got to unwind a little bit, and maybe you're looking at your homework with a fresh perspective the next day.
Oh, yeah, especially if it's, like, something I hopefully know I can do really fast. I'm like, I could push this off maybe till the last minute, which isn't good, but, like, at least I know I can get it done. Or something that doesn't require a lot of, like, brain power to do. I can push it off or get it out of the way as quickly, just depending on what I'm doing that week.
Yeah, I love those assignments. When I was a freshman, though, and I had Lieutenant Cooper as my flight commander, he gave us some really good advice, and he said that he would look at his assignments for the week and decide or kind of estimate how much time it's going to take him to do each thing, so that way he knew how much work he had that week, and he wasn't going to try to, like, overschedule homework and not be able to get it done.
Yeah. So
it's kind of a good way to manage.
Yeah. Lieutenant Bear, she told me there's this one class that's optional this year, and then she's like, oh, but you have to do well on these 2 exams prior to it to be able to opt out of it, because the class is 3 hours if you have to take it, and that's a lot of time out of a day. And she's like, just do well in those 2 and you'll be able to opt out of it. So I, like, knew which exams those were. I was like, all right, I gotta get that score above what I need to. And luckily I was able to, so then I don't have to take that 3-hour class this time. So that was, like, great advice, because now I'm like, thank you for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you find a balance between what you need to do and what you have to do?
So there's, like, a certain point when I feel, like, overwhelmed and stressed to the point where I just, like, I call staring at, like, a wall, where you just feel like you just need to stare at something. That's kind of when I know I'm like, all right, I need a break, and I need to go do something besides homework, study, like, ROTC related stuff, because then I know that's when my brain's starting to get tired and my work isn't going to be the best.
Yeah, for sure. Making sure you recharge. Like I've said with the past few questions, you kind of just have to make sure that you're scheduling time for each, and, like, also just being efficient with what you have to do, because sometimes when you're kind of procrastinating because you don't know, like, how hard something's going to be or how long it's going to take you, then you kind of tick down your time, and then you have to spend the rest of your time doing what you have to do, and you really didn't get to enjoy the time that you took doing things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think that's something I really struggle with.
Yeah, it gets hard, especially when it's hard to find that balance sometimes, though, because it's like what you want to do versus what you need to do, which is just hard to do sometimes, because the want is so tempting.
Yeah, I'll just lay down on my phone and just scroll through whatever app I have up. I noticed myself doing this over the summer, and because I had a full academic semester over the summer, and it was COVID, so we were inside, yeah, and I saw everyone outside having fun. It was kind of some rough nights sometimes, but I realized that I was doing this, and I was kind of wanting to take a step back and, like, wonder why I was doing it, and I kind of felt like maybe I was just worried that I couldn't maybe do it. It was just kind of, my work was getting increasingly difficult with aerospace engineering, and I felt like maybe I wouldn't be able to do it, maybe I just wouldn't understand it, and then it would take me forever to do, because that would happen quite a bit. and I kind of wanted to like pin it down to a word, and I felt like that word was incapable. I felt like I was maybe just not gonna be able to live up to my major and live up to what I needed to do.
Oh, I feel that all the time, especially like we have rotations of everything, so like we'll have like a adult unit. Right now we're on an OB and a peds unit, and like personally, like OB and peds is just not my cup of tea. Yeah. So I felt like, it's kind of like what you said, am I living up to my major? Because like everybody loved it, was doing well. I was able to do well, but I had to put a lot more time and effort than other people just because I didn't enjoy it and I didn't like want to do it, and I just was like, am I even doing it? Like,
yeah, so it was harder and I was less motivated. So I wrote on a sticky note, conquer, and I put it up on my window, and just a reminder that I can do anything as long as I put in the work and have the right mindset.
Yeah. And
I still have it up there, and my bed's by my window, so I just look up at it sometimes, and I just always remember that you have to have the right attitude.
I agree. Yeah, I think of like kind of like your why, like why am I still doing this? Because like obviously there were bumps in the road, but like what's your end goal? Like what do you want? And like obviously mine's like to be a nurse, so even though there might be hard parts, you kind of have to get through it to get to your final goal.
Yeah, it's kind of like part 2 of the why. It's like how.
Yeah, you need the how, and we're in the how right now.
How do you make peace with fulfilling those responsibilities or tasks that you might not want to do?
The best way to make peace with those is just like, you still have to put your best effort, because not everything in life you're going to want to do, but you kind of have to do it. So you still can't like be like, oh, I don't want to do that today, or I don't feel like I should do that, like put much work into that. But at the end of the day, it is your work and it reflects who you are. So you have to make sure you have to like put your best effort, even though you may not want to, because life isn't always fair, and you don't want to do everything you have to do. So
right. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I like to think of it like this, how everything that you do is kind of a choice. Like, we're free to choose our own path, but to ultimately get where we want to go, like, sometimes there's going to be things we don't want to do. Like, I want to graduate and be an aerospace engineer. I do not want to take all the exams and study and all that stuff, but it's really important to learn all that stuff. So whenever I am struggling with my responsibilities and trying to make peace with them, I try to step back and think, okay, well, how is this going to get me to where I want to go, and what about this did I choose?
Yeah. I also think it makes you just grow as a person itself, because if you can do tasks and stuff you don't want to do, you can just grow as a person and like expand your, I guess, horizon on stuff, because you may not like it at first, and who knows, you might not. You might end up liking that task or responsibility you have to do.
So true. Yeah, just keeping an open mind.
Yeah.
For sure. What do you do when you feel like you have too many responsibilities?
The first thing I do is I'll reach out to somebody, depending on like what it's in. Like for work, I'll like reach out to like the other PCAs and the other nurses, being like, hey, I do not have time to do this. I can't do this right now. Can you help me out and go do it? And most of the time those people are like, oh, for sure. Like, let me know if you need anything else. Or, like they'll just walk by and they'll be like, do you need anything? And I'm like, I'm good for now. Or if I'm not, I'll be like, no, can you go do X, Y, and Z? And they're like, yeah. So and then like for ROTC, I'll always reach out to like a wingman and be like, hey, can you help me with this? Or like, I need help. Can you go put this in? Like one time I didn't have Wi-Fi access, and I'm just like, I text Cadet Smog and I'm like, hey, can you go put my wharfs and flight hours in for me? Because I have no Wi-Fi and my phone is Sprint. So anybody who has Sprint knows it's trash.
Yeah, was a Sprint, and now I'm Verizon.
It's a world of difference.
Yeah, I completely agree with you though. You have to ask for help if you need it. If it's your wing job, if it's FTP or school or your real job, you have to ask for help. This past couple of weeks, Cadet Stats has been giving me some taskers, and I'm like, hey, I need a little bit more time or whatever, but then he wants it by like a certain day, so he'll be like, oh, well, it's no problem, I can just help you do it. So it's so nice when someone's like willing to help you. And I also study with Cadet Lemieux a lot, and we have a friend who's really good at coding. So we're really bad at coding, but he helps us a lot. So I just always try to remember to ask for help.
Yeah. But
also another thing you can do if you feel like you have too much is figure out what you can cut out, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes one of your responsibilities might not necessarily be pertinent to what you're doing. When I was in high school, I was like doing cheer teams like for the school and competitive, and I was on the golf team, and I was doing musical, and then I was like, I really want to do the science fair. And I signed up and I picked out an experiment, and I wrote up like the lab write-up, and ultimately I ended up realizing that I just didn't have enough time to do it.
Yeah.
So I went to my teacher and I was like, hey, I'm really sorry, I can't do it. And he was so sad because he like loves science and loves students, and and I was sad too. But you just have to cut out some things to just make your life easier. You have to like kind of assess, what's better for you, having more time to really focus on the things that you have to do, or adding something in that you really want to do. And that's going to be a different answer every time.
Oh, for sure.
What do you do when you feel like you don't have enough responsibilities?
I don't think I've had that point.
But really?
Yeah, a lot of the times it's just everything's right back to back, either with like nursing or RTC, but mostly with nursing and like work. But like if I do, I ask like people around like, hey, do you need help with anything? Yeah. Can I help you with anything? And most of the time they'll be like, no, or they'll be like, oh yeah, can you check this or do something real quick? And I'm like, yeah, that takes me like 2 seconds out of my day to do.
Yeah, so, helping out other people.
Yeah, as best as I can. Sometimes I'll try to respond to people fast too, because like I know they have stuff to get done, which also helps them get their responsibilities done.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, no, I feel like I feel this like in kind of small increments in my life. Like when I was in high school during the summers, it just felt like I was going crazy because I didn't have enough to do.
Oh, same.
Yeah, and when I'm on co-op, it's so weird because I go to work and then I come home and I don't have anything to do.
Wow.
So I'll work 40 hours a week. So I'm busy for the most part. But when I get home, I'm just don't really have anything to do, which is so weird because
That's so bizarre.
You always have stuff to do when you're a student.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I started doing flying lessons though.
How's that?
While I was on co-op, and it was really, really fun. I loved it so much. So yeah, my advice would be to start a hobby that is kind of goal oriented, if that is something that you like, is goal orientation, because it's definitely something I like. And having an end goal, get a pilot's license of some sort, it really helps me like keep coming back and makes me like excited to develop my skills.
Yeah. And
it was really fun. But going back to the last question, what do you do when you feel like you have too many responsibilities? I've had to kind of fall away from it a little bit this last semester because I just don't have any time. But yeah, I'm really excited to get back on co-op this summer and fly some more.
Oh, I bet.
What do you like to do to unwind?
So I have 2 dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So I like to just take them out on walks. And my one dog likes to run with me, so we'll go on runs.
Oh.
So he'll just kind of keep up with me, and I have a running buddy, so
yeah, it's
always fun to do that. And like sometimes I just like, it's weird as it sounds, like I call it like mindless TV, where you don't really have to pay attention to anything because there's not much of a plot.
Yes.
And you can just sit there and watch it. Like Family Guy is like one of those random things. It's like, it's a weird show. We just like stare at it. You could follow the whole plot through. It's 20 minutes. Doesn't require brain power or anything to like watch
and the episodes don't really like build off of each other.
No, it's like The Office. You know, you just kind of watch it and you're just like, I've watched it so many times. I'm like, oh, I already know this, so it's okay.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on both of those. I love like those funny sitcoms. They're just hilarious.
Oh,
but yeah, no, I love taking my dog on walks too, and taking her to like a field and running around. We have to get our dogs together sometime.
Oh yes, have a dog party.
Yeah, no, she's pretty good with other dogs, so.
Yeah, before I came, I took them out, and one of their neighbor dogs was out, so they were all playing. And my dog never let go of his ball in his mouth for like the whole 10 minutes we were outside. I'm like,
that's funny.
You gonna drop it? He just held on to it.
Protective.
Yeah, he just ran with it in circles. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I share my dog with my family, so I like have her sometimes and don't have her other times. But even when she's not here, I love like going out to like new places and nature preserves and walking around. Same. It's just like so nice and so warm.
Yeah. Especially now that the weather's getting nice. It's
kind of sad when you can't do it for a little bit. I do love snow though, but
I'm a wimp to the cold, so I have to take the heat.
But yeah, I found some really cool places around Cincinnati, especially when I was on co-op and I didn't have a whole lot to do. And then what you were saying about the mindless TV, I like that, but I also really like non-mindless TV, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
I love watching movies and television series and reading books. I think what I like about it so much is like just becoming invested in the story and taking a step back from my own life, because I can just become so consumed and involved in like all of my stress and worries and emotions. It's just too much sometimes.
Yeah, I read too, but I don't like do like nonfiction stuff. I like the fiction stuff because it's like completely far out, if that makes sense. Or like realistic nonfiction or something.
Yeah, I like that too. I kind of also like reading like stuff about physics and astrophysics.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. But
medical stuff, normal things.
Yeah, but no, I love fictional stuff, and I also like listening to like true crime podcasts.
Oh, that stuff's addicting though.
Yeah, but I just love just getting my mind off of my own life, and like the best way to do that is to think about someone else's life.
Oh, sure.
I think.
Yeah, you're invested in something else.
And it's just so fun sometimes, because if you can get a favorite character and then you just like want them to succeed,
and then something happens and you're like,
and
really?
then you're sad. Oh gosh. But usually I kind of set myself up for failure in that respect, because usually my favorite character is the villain.
Mine is like it depends. It's normally the main character, but sometimes they just grind my gears, and I'm rooting for the person that's like against them. I'm like, I just don't like you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll have a bunch of different favorite characters, but usually the bad guy, I'm like, I like you.
I love that.
I don't know. Yeah, usually it doesn't work out in my favor in the end, but it's okay. What can you do to avoid burnout?
Take time for yourself. Even if you might get behind on work for a little bit, it's better to like give yourself that mental break and do whatever you want to do, like work out, hang out with a friend, stare at a wall, whatever you want to do, anything, but you have to make time for yourself, or else you are gonna just feel the burnout. Like I hit that freshman year because I went to so many study sessions, studied all the time, and I literally was like, why am I doing this for so like many days, like almost every day? And I was like, I'm gonna burn out. So then I took like a couple days, just did what I had to do to basically refresh myself, and then I was good to go and kept going, and then learned to take time for myself. Yeah,
I completely agree. And taking time for yourself can happen on any scale that you can think of. I was out for a year, as I've said many times, on co-op, and so that was a long break, and it really did help, and it helped me come back with a fresh perspective. But you don't always get that. I won't get it again. So you also have to like think about how you can enjoy your other breaks on whatever scale. So like summer, enjoy your summers if you to the most of your ability. And you always have your weekends too. So I know that at least for me, I usually have to do a lot of homework on weekends, but at least just try to find like any type of time.
What I end up doing now for burnout is I try to cut myself off on homework as best as I can at like a certain time through the night, because I don't know about you, but my brain kind of starts to get a little fried after like a certain time in the night.
Yeah,
and
I'm actually the opposite. I'm
really?
a night person, yeah.
Yeah, mine starts to get fried and my sentences just don't make sense. And so like I try to cut off at like at the latest 11 is my goal. Obviously that doesn't happen, but like that's another way I try to avoid the burnout, just because like by giving myself like a
just
deadline.
Any type of break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work better at night, which it's kind of hard to manage because I want to take a nap in the morning and then like I come to homework in the evening and sometimes I'm still tired, so it's just like, well, gosh, gotta pick my poison.
The only time I'm very productive at night is during my night shift, and it's a 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. range, and I'm just whipping out homework and I'm like, this is so weird.
How do you renew the excitement of your responsibilities?
You know, it's always that end goal for me, because like if you don't have an end goal, then why are you doing that?
Yeah.
So you always have to think of the end goal and what you want in life and what you want to do. So that's how I keep excitement.
Yeah, that's so true. Definitely do that myself. Another thing that I do is just try to switch it up, I guess, change it up a bit.
Yeah.
Just try to be creative with whatever you're doing. Like, for instance, ROTC, I'm like, hey, I gotta come into this wing job with all these responsibilities that maybe are a little tedious and maybe, like, not so exciting sometimes. Sometimes it is, but, so, you know, why not start a podcast?
Makes it different. Did something new.
Yeah, it's fun. It's it's different, and yeah, you kind of have to do that with everything. I kind of have to do that for my co-op sometimes because it can be kind of boring. So just maybe asking my boss like what kind of projects I can get on. But yeah, it does always come back to why are you there and why are you doing it, and just trying to understand how what you're doing is going to get you to your end goal.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last question for you is, what is your favorite quote, and can you please explain it?
Yeah, so I don't know where my coach got this from, if someone else said it, but she always used to say, do what you fear and the fear disappears, which sounds like kind of weird, but like kind of like if you think of in general, if you do something that you're scared of or you don't like doing, the more you do it and the more you put yourself out there in that fear, it'll slowly disappear and you won't even know why you're scared of doing it. And that can relate just kind of to anything. Whereas in that time it was gymnastics, and it was like a random skill I had to learn and I was terrified to do, and then I'd eventually do it over and over and I'd slowly not fear it anymore. And that same goes for like kind of ROTC, for like if you're not comfortable, like you recently were drilled like guide on. Like,
I was just thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah, like if you think of like guide on, like, you know, you might be scared to do it, but the more you put yourself out there, that fear will slowly disappear because you keep doing it. So
yeah, no, I was just thinking about that with the flight drill evaluations we were doing today, this morning. Yeah, we were. Everyone, well, she's always just like, who wants to go, and then she makes us say, well, I'm talking about Captain Lewis, by the way. She's like, I can't hear you guys, so we have to say, Cadet Captain Lewis, may I make a statement? And then she'll pick on you if she heard your voice first. But I'm kind of like, raise my hand, like, say it quietly.
Yeah, it's like the more you do it, like, that fear will disappear, which, like, you know, it can be like as little or as big as you want to take it, but that's how I look at it, because like if you do stuff that you're scared of, the more you do, you're gonna be like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Like,
yeah, and towards the end it was getting to only be a couple people, and it was like me and one other person. She was just like, okay, well, you can go, and then she's just like, Cadet Rally, if we can get through this really quickly, you can go. And I was like, oh, yay.
Like, it's that,
I was like, oh my gosh, totally like, what I wanted to happen.
Like, that's not what I wanted, but yeah, like, because I used, like, for one, I hated guide on. Like, I hated it with a passion because I came in as a 150, and at that time they didn't really do much with the guide on. So, like, I just had to keep putting myself out there to do it.
I really like guide on, but yeah.
I don't mind it now. I mean, my spade might get turned a little bit, but I'm not scared of the guide on anymore.
Yeah, no, but I ended up getting to go today, and it was the last one, and I was nervous for it. I feel like it's really no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you get out on that drill pad, it's game time.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like there's always opportunities to take the practice when there's nothing
there's like, really nothing
on stage.
At
Yeah.
all.
That like it definitely helps. So like that's like that perfect opportunity, like to do the practice at these, to lead the ORI. Like
there's really nothing at stake. Yeah, and then when you do it, the more you do it,
the fear's like gone.
The fear disappears. Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm not scared to do this. Like I can lead this.
Yeah, it was just like I'm kind of nervous. I'm like walking over to fall in the flight. And I'm like, guys, fall in the right place. Don't fall out of bounds. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. And then I do all the movements. I'm done. I exit the drill pad, and I'm like, all right, I was not that bad at all.
You're like, round 2, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Yes, they're so fun.
Gotta use that feedback. All right.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I really, really like that. I've never heard that before either.
I don't know where she got it, but
and it rhymes.
I know, that's what makes it even better.
All right, well, thank you, Cadet Western, for taking the time out of your day to talk with me and discuss how we balance our personal and professional lives.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your tips, and I'm sure that some nursing students and any other student who has a lot on their plate is gonna really appreciate what you've had to say.
Thanks.
If you guys listening have any questions about what we've talked about, please reach out to me or Cadet Western. I'm sure that we'd be happy to continue the conversation. Okay, Aircats, well, remember to fly, fight, and win, and I will catch you next time on Aircast.